Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live. I'm your co-host Ryan Stano.
And I'm Garrison Gaddy.
Well, Garrison, a lot has happened since last Thursday. Before we start, though, just want to appreciate all of the members that we have here on the Ohio State Voice of College Football channel. Again, we appreciate you guys' contribution. Um, Everyone, you can see your name scrolling here on the screen. For those who have supported the channel, we are trying to build a family here. So we love anything that you can help support the channel in any way is greatly appreciated. We have, the different memberships there. JT wasn't short, Block O Club, and we don't give a damn. So again, appreciate any contributions you guys are willing to throw our way. But first thing we want to start off with is really the last celebration of the 2024 national championship team happened today. They were at the White House. They were in Washington, D.C., visiting with the president. And really, this is the last time the 2024 team is really going to be totally together. A lot of them are headed to the NFL. While some of them are still on campus, a lot of them are headed to the NFL. So just wanted to get your take on, them visiting today, watching. And what was your reaction when you saw JD almost drop the trophy and cause an international incident?
Well, I'm really glad. I'm really glad that he didn't drop that. I mean, was it Tom Brady that while they're in the water he threw over to another boat?
He threw the Super Bowl trophy. Yeah.
So yeah, just next time be careful. That's Let's not do that again. But no, I thought it was really awesome. I right when it ended, I started it. I thought it was a fun speech by the president. It was a cool speech by Ryan Day. God bless America and go Bucks. Yeah,
Go Bucks.
That was fun. Yeah, it was cool seeing a lot of guys like Travion Henderson get recognized. Of course, Jeremiah. I mean, the rest, Cody, the rest of those guys. Like, it was cool to see. It was cool to see. And, the last time we'll probably be celebrating this. I don't plan on talking about that season until maybe we run out of something to talk about. But
we're always going to talk about that season. Mm-hmm. But moving forward, it is time to turn out to 2025. This was a good last celebration for everybody. Before the spring portal opens, after the spring games, it was perfectly timed for the team. And, that kind of transitions us right into the spring game. I know you had a show with some of the other guys here on the channel immediately after. I was unable to attend due to some work things I had going on. But I know you probably emptied the tank on your spring game takes, but I want to give you mine.
I want to hear what you guys say. Yeah.
So,
I'm really interested.
Following right after the game, I wrote a couple articles, and I gave 3 winners and 3 losers. And one of the winners, let's start positive. One of the winners I had was, everyone saw how good Mylan Graham is. And you and I have been sitting here talking on this show about how we think Mylan Graham is going to be a dog. And I mean, he's a former 5-star recruit for a reason. I think it just took him a little bit of time because he was a late enrollee last year. Like, he didn't get in until the summer. So it took him a little bit of time to get comfortable, not just with the offense and, his role, but also just being a college student, like being away from home for the first time and adapting to just kind of the first step into adulthood. So now that he's settled in and he's ready to go, we saw what he can do. He had one, I think, bad play on that throw where Sayin threw it to him, and quite frankly, should have been a touchdown, but he just didn't locate the ball in the end zone. But that was the only thing I saw him do wrong. I mean, he dropped Aaron Scott a couple times on some routes, and, we'll get to Aaron Scott later. But, I think Graham is poised to get some real playing time this year based off that performance. What did you think about Graham and what he did?
It was, listen, I already knew how good he was. I've been somewhat harassed by guys, but when I say I think by the end of this season, we might be looking at him as the second best wide receiver on this team. I think he has that in him, and it wasn't so much. Everyone says, "Oh yeah, I'm talking down on Carnell Tate." No, I'm not. I'm not talking down on Brandon Ennis. I think those two are dogs. I just believe Mylan Graham is very, very good. like special good.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Garrett Wilson. It's crazy. Like it's crazy seeing him in that 5 jersey, and he makes plays like Garrett Wilson. He moves like Garrett Wilson. Like that's what it looks like out there.
Yeah.
And I thought he was really impressive. Another guy, I thought C.J. Donaldson looked explosive.
I thought the
was
running
like,
backs in general looked good.
yeah, I really like what we got back there. I mean, the offense. I mean, what do you think about the offensive line and the defensive line?
So that's where I was going to go here in a little bit.
Mhm.
But first off, I do want to give props out to Bo Jackson, true freshman. He looked really good in his first action. And again, someone we both have liked for a while. As far as the offensive and defensive line goes, so the problem is I can't tell if it's just the offensive line being really good or if the starting defensive line is really that bad and we've got some concerns. I tend to think it's more of the latter. Like I think the defensive line has got some problems. There was not really no starting defensive lineman got any push at all up front, and that is deeply concerning to me moving forward. There were some backups who looked good. Logan George, I know you've really liked him. He looked good. He was one of the few defensive linemen that was able to do something. And I think it's going to be a big problem this year up front. They can only they're probably gonna have to go to the transfer portal to kind of help with the depth, but they're not going to be able to get like a starting caliber defensive lineman at this stage in the game. So that left me deeply concerned. I thought the offensive line configuration was interesting though. With Saravel as the starting right tackle. Out there. We'd kind of speculated he could be one of the tackles. But, I mean, what did you think of that combination?
It's funny because I looked at the CBS article today from Blake Broshire about the top 150 top players in the nation. The only offensive lineman at Ohio State that was on there was Phillip Daniels.
I saw that,
and
he didn't start. So
no. And so I remember like one time, I think probably 2 weeks ago, we talked about Saravel and about him being an Iron Buckeye. And I said, when we asked, maybe he's actually just taking that jump, But I mean,
I hope he does. I hope he did. I think that I do think Jalen's still got Phillip still has a chance to win that job. I will see what Daniels is able to do in the fall. But it is telling right now that Saravel has that spot. And you know what? He played fine. Like I said, the entire offensive line did fine. He was the whole offensive line as a whole was able to open up holes for the running back. They did a pretty good job of protecting both quarterbacks. And it's honestly, I mean, what did you think of the offensive defensive line? Like, are you concerned about the defensive line at all after that performance?
I'm concerned about the defensive, the tackles. Yeah, the defensive tackles. We didn't see much execution out there. We didn't see much McDonald out there. I think, and that's because the coaches know what they have those two. I think
they started. Look, they played like a couple series, and that was about it.
I think I saw that with James Peoples. I think they know what they got in some players. Jason Moore, I didn't like his body language out there. I didn't like his body language out there.
Yeah.
Jason Moore. I don't know how to explain it, but I just didn't like his body language out there. I didn't think he brought any intensity. And you want to. When it comes to Malone, I mean, I can't really say anything bad about him, but I can't really say anything good about him. Anything that stood out from him.
Yeah. Which he's someone we've been talking about. Hey, it's your time to show something. You're gonna do something.
And I don't think we would have this worry with Hero. Hero, we knew we could have someone that could play. We knew Hero could play. So this is one of those moments where it's kind of it sucks.
Yeah.
But No, but yeah, so it's a
Also,
concern. But the
yeah,
offensive line, but on the offensive line, I was happy with what I saw, and it's because I
mm,
thought guys knew where to go. Like,
yeah,
it was clear that guys knew where to pick up the blocks. So it looks like Tyler Bowen's been doing a great job with them.
yep,
The running backs helped out in sometimes. I mean, I think it was like a 10-to-1 pass to run ratio out there. So I thought the running backs blocked pretty well, which was a concern for me. So
yeah.
and then
I thought the
yeah.
offensive line definitely did their job, and that is reassuring to me. I know like a lot of those guys played last year up front. Like I mean, Hinsman played down the stretch. Luke Montgomery at least got some CFP run
Mhm.
in there. Tegra played most of the year. Cerevel played half the year, so we knew a lot of those guys. And you and I both thought Ethan were going to be, we thought he was going to be good enough to start at left tackle right away, and that seems to be what they're doing with him. So, and honestly, I thought the backups looked good too. Like I thought the offensive line in general performed pretty well. Now, some of the backups, um, they didn't protect quite as well. Um,
Mhm.
I and that's when the Logan George push came, and some of the other guys, were able to do something at that point. But overall, I was pleased with the offense. At least, the offensive line, the running backs, like I said, look good. I was not, like I said, I wasn't able to tune in on Saturday. So,
Mhm.
what was your thought on the quarterback play? Because that's the big topic that every Ohio State fan,
Yeah.
wants to know what's going on with the quarterback. So, what was your take on that?
I didn't think anyone played bad. I thought both quarterbacks played good to above average to good, and I would say that the good came out of Julian.
Yeah.
From the get go, I thought Julian did really well. From the time he got on the field, the twos led them down the field. Got with the ones, did it again. The ball gets out quick. He reads the offenses. I mean, since high school, he was a recruit. Everyone knew that he read defenses really fast, really well. So we're able to see that he does that. He looked good out there, man. I
He
thought
looked
that
good.
he has some impressive throws, and it was as a fan of the team, it was really cool to see the talent on display to an extent. Again, you don't want to take too much from it, but
Yeah.
there's that for Lincoln. I thought Lincoln played well. I thought what I what I took from him was that he would be the type of quarterback that he would be a rhythm quarterback throughout the game, where kind of like a Calvin McCord, where you might get a really slow start, and then the second half the game picks up a little bit for him. I mean, like in the first few throws he had, somehow, I think Ryan Day said last year to Will, the helmet and higher. I don't know how you sail a throw over Jeremiah Smith, but he found a way to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he
Yeah.
he still played pretty well. So and then
Yeah.
go ahead.
Early on, Lincoln, I thought Lincoln in general is going to just early on. I thought he tried to come out with a little bit too much juice. Like he didn't play well for the first, honestly, for the first half of the first half. Like Julian
Mhm.
went down and he led scoring drives pretty much, right off the gate. 4 drives in a row, like he led scoring drives, and they weren't all touchdown drives, but they got, Fielding went out there and he kicked some field goals. I thought Sand looked more poised. I thought he had more. Um, I thought he made some really good touch throws. He had some good deep throws. He did have a pass batted down early on, which I think that is a concern with him just because of his stature. Like he's only 6'1", like he's much shorter. So I think
Mhm.
that's going to be something that they're going to have to deal with all year. But honestly, Saturday, it just kind of reaffirmed my thoughts um on the quarterback situation. Like Sand, I think is the clear starter, and I think Lincoln is
Yep.
the clear backup. And I think Lincoln, like honestly, Lincoln played to me like a good backup. Like he is someone I can trust to put out there if Sand were to go down.
Mhm.
And I think that would be fine. And yeah, the defense was very vanilla, which we knew they were going to be. The offense is pretty vanilla too. Like both sides of the ball, they were doing pretty basic stuff. Um, and I do want to hear your thoughts on Tavian's performance because he was one of my losers, unfortunately. And again, it's early. Like it's just spring game as a true freshman, but
Mm-hmm.
he did not look good for the most of the time he was out there. I mean, 1 of 7 in the first half. He threw 2 picks. One of the picks was almost a pick six. I was hoping for a little bit better of a performance from him, but again, he was never expected to start or compete for the starting job this year, and he's got a lot of time to learn and grow in the offense. So I'm not too worried about it.
He looked like a freshman.
Yeah,
He looked like a freshman. Like from the first time he got on the, when we first got on the field, I said, okay. I think the first thing I typed was oh, he has a lot of zip. Like that's a live arm. He has that.
yes,
But sometimes you gotta have someone teach you how to hone in on that a little bit. I saw this comparison. I forget who it was on X, but they said like he's kind of like he looks like a Terrell Pryor out there. That's what he reminds me of.
Mm.
He reminds me of Terrell Pryor. He's someone, and Terrell Pryor didn't have the quarterback or like didn't have the Ryan Day in his on the coaching staff. He didn't have that type of guy that could just refine a quarterback skills. So he's raw, but outside of those 2 picks and some wild throws, I thought he made some good plays. He ended the game really well.
I thought that last drive was really good for him. Like get some confidence, leading that touchdown drive at the end. I thought that was good to see.
Let him see success.
Yeah, exactly. And my guess is we're not going to see him a whole lot this year, maybe in some blowouts, but I think Lincoln's going to get a lot of backup snaps, obviously, in some of those early games.
What do you think about Lincoln? What do you think about Lincoln?
So, like I mentioned, I thought he played like he had a little bit too much. I mean, coming out as the first quarterback out,
was he better than you expected? Or was it? Or
I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest. Like
based
off of the report, well, just based off of the performances that we've heard from some of the scrimmages, we're saying was the one who didn't look good. And I had a couple buddies who were actually at practice on Friday, and they said the offense in general looked bad, which was concerning. Yeah. So, I like I said, I was expecting just a little bit more from Lincoln just because of some of the reports we'd had about how, it looked like he'd finally hit a little bit more consistency. But as I said before, he's playing like a backup who I can trust out there. So he's going to be the backup, and that is perfectly fine. Like I saw enough from saying that I am comfortable with the quarterback situation, comfortable enough where we can stay far the hell away from Nico as possible. I know we talked about that already, but it just.
No, and right here from Philip, man, good to see you. He says, I am most impressed by the running backs. And right there, he also says the tight ends played well, too. That right, so the tight ends for me, that's a position where I was really surprised. Max Clare, first off,
Max Clare, touchdown, there. Baby.
That was nice. That was really good to see.
Jelani Thurman sighting, which, we only ever get to see him really in the spring game.
Yeah, no, yeah. I thought Jelani played well. I mean, his hands weren't. He's not doing this.
Yeah,
he's actually catching the ball. He looked fluid out there. Max LeBlanc, was good to see him out there. See a little bit out of him.
Will got hurt again, which that is what it is.
But I thought this like knowing that we have a Comerick sale, I think that's a pretty deep tight end room. I think it's be one of the better ones in the nation. And the running backs, were you surprised? Were you
surprised that Peoples came out with the ones and Donaldson's with the twos?
No,
I was a little bit surprised.
I think Peoples might be that boy. I think he didn't. I think he had 2 carries. I think 4, maybe. Like
he didn't play a whole lot.
No, James might. I mean, you see what he looks like out there. He looks like Maurice Claret. He looks like J.K. Dobbins. He looks like a Mike White. Like
I'm gonna hold like that.
I'm saying his body looks like that.
Yeah.
He just looks like that. So I don't know, but I just hot take that I said after the game. I said I don't think any of the running backs go over 15 carries this season.
You mean like 15 carries a game?
No, I don't think any of them. Like last year, in the regular season, um, not Dobbins, but Judkins was the only running back to go over 15 carries, and his was 17. He only did that once throughout the season.
Hmm. I think they.
I think Sam's gonna get in the game. I think Bo's gonna be in the game. I think all
So you
these
think
running
they're
backs
going
are
to
gonna
platoon them
contribute.
a lot
Yeah,
like
dude,
that?
I think the running backs are gonna play.
I think that is going. That's an interesting thought. I still, I think, I don't know because I mean, Bo did look really good. Like I was gonna say, I think it's like two guys who are gonna get carries, but Bo Jackson looked really good. Um, so
Mm.
I still think that they're gonna have the majority of the carries go to whoever they deem as a starter, which it seems like right now it's gonna be Peoples. But I based on how it worked out last year, I know Trevion and Quinshon Judkins. I mean, those guys were two special backs, and we knew that coming into the season.
Mhm.
But if they think they've got two guys who deserve to kind of split carries and do it pretty equally, like I'm fine with that. Like keep them fresh for the deep run that they want to make. I'm not sure about
Um,
this take. I saw Philip put this. I don't know
yeah,
about three running backs above 500 yards. I don't know if
no,
I see
two.
that.
No, I really no. I'm serious. I think they're gonna. I don't think any of these running backs will touch 15 carries in a game. I truly believe they are gonna run them. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll see if I see both running backs or two running backs getting over a
Mhm.
thousand yards like we did this past season,
No,
but I do. I don't really know. I guess yet because
I thought.
I mean this was the first time we saw Brian Hartline really get to call plays an extended period of time, but it
Mhm.
was obviously very vanilla, so we don't know exactly how much run he's going to go versus pass. So
Because it could be like
it's
a hot hand. It could be like a hot hand
yeah.
type of thing for the running backs. Like whoever has the hot hand that day.
Yeah. But I'll say this, I feel a lot better about the running back room after seeing their performance
Hmm.
on Saturday. Like, they
I agree.
were great. Um, I do wanna ask you about, uh, the safeties. So, Malik Hartford got the start next to Caleb,
Hmm.
and I didn't really notice him a whole lot out there. He didn't make any mistakes either, like, I thought he was, like, fine. But then Jalen came out with the second unit, and he made a couple of plays. But again, I don't think it was significantly better than Malik. I mean, he did at least make a couple of plays. You think that they're going to stick with Hartford as a starter, or you think that's still a battle? I think it's still
I
a
think
battle.
I think it's still a battle, and it's because maybe they wanted to see if what Malik looked like next to Caleb. But I do believe what the position Caleb is in, that's what Malik plays.
Hmm.
I, I think McLean's a better coverage guy. I think he's the to fit what the defense needs. I think he should be playing. But no, I thought Malik played well though. I didn't think he did anything crazy or outstanding. I thought he was fine out there.
Yep.
Um, McLean, I thought I think they both gave up. I think didn't they both give up a touchdown?
Uh, I think I
Or then
think
McLean made a play
McLean
on
McLean made played there on the goal.
Jelani. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so he had stopped one touchdown. So even though I do believe that touchdown by Max Clare, I do believe Malik pulled up because
Well,
that was a real. I think
sure, and
that's a
also
real game.
That was an Arvell Reese mistake. He did not drop back on that zone.
No, he did it, but I mean, like where that ball was, I think that was a real good situation. Malik was putting his helmet or his shoulder pad and then a helmet. So,
Yeah.
but either
One
way though, I'm okay with the safeties. I didn't think they played really badly. And I think when you have a guy like Lorenzo Styles,
mm,
you can actually put him back there. I think that's a safe way to go,
yeah,
if need be.
yeah. One other thing I want to talk about defensively, and he was one of my other losers on the game, was Aaron Scott. Aaron Scott had a rough Saturday. He got dropped a couple of times on my own Graham routes. Like he straight up just fell down.
Yeah.
Like it looked like he got crossed over on the basketball court, and that was disappointing because I've talked about on the show how much of an Aaron Scott fan I was with him coming out of high school. I was really hoping to see him play well. And it wasn't just that he didn't play well. Yeah, like he got testy. Like that play at the end of the first half when he just basically threw a haymaker at Quincy Porter. You do that in a real game, you're getting tossed. Like you're getting thrown out. So he didn't really keep a level head. He didn't really keep his feet going very well. I thought it was a rough day for Aaron Scott. And I'm hoping to see better days from him.
No, we have. He's a DB, and DBs have bad days. That happens.
Yeah,
it's a hard position to play. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's not your day, and and definitely wasn't his. We have seen good reps out of him through videos sent by the football team, so that's not a worry for me. But
what did you think of the limited Devin Sanchez we saw? Because that got me a little bit excited. He made a couple of plays.
Yeah, I did like that. Unless I'm wrong here, if Jeremiah was out there, I think that's where they had him. It looked like, or at least in the area.
Jeremiah only really played like the first couple of snaps,
yeah,
or first couple of series.
Yeah, I thought Devin Sanchez. I saw him lined up with him a few times, so I did like that. If you don't say a DB's name, that's usually a good reason. That's a good thing if you don't say their names. So no, I thought Devin played well. I mean, for the rest of the DBs, I mean, I can't really say much about that. I thought Julian just had a day on them, which I was really surprised by.
Yeah, me too.
Usually the defense has the advantage in these spring games. So and the way the way I kind of cope with it is, well, I'm comfortable with saying 100% of college football doesn't have what Ohio State has right now.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm certainly not worried about the secondary in general. I think the secondary is going to be really good.
Jermaine played really well.
Jermaine, I was going to bring him up. Jermaine was good, which we knew. Like we knew he was going to be good. So I am not worried about Jermaine. The only thing I'm worried about with Iggy was his penalties. We know what Caleb Downs does. Like I
thought Bryce West played well.
Yeah, he has some good reps.
I think he could play. I think he could play this season. We saw him a couple times last year. He made a good play against Tennessee, but seeing the spring game, really, elite athlete, second fastest on the team in my estimation, behind Devin.
Yeah.
So it was good to see him out there also.
So that's pretty much my takes as far as the offensive and defense side of the ball is concerned. I want to talk about special teams a little bit because Jaden Fielding made some field goals, including a decently long one, which I thought was good to see. Like I know he said at the end of last year he was playing with a torn hip. He was basically going through an injury, and I thought he looked a lot more fluid today, and it was good to see him, make some kicks, and that gives me a little bit more confidence with him moving forward. What did you think about him?
I think that kind of like for Ryan Day and for all the seniors last year, I thought that the playoff was a separate season for Jaden Fielding. He hit some big. He got some big field goals in the playoffs. One in the national championship to clinch it. The Texas game, he was big in that. Even in the Oregon game, we were winning, but every time when it was like 40-yarder, 30-yarder, he nailed it. Tennessee, he nailed it. Like he was on point. I thought that gave him a little like a jolt going, like put a battery in his back going into this season. And so clearly he has more confidence. And I think, when you have a fresh new team like this, it's important that your special teams are intact, especially if it's a field goal, you're trying to get points out of it. So
field goal kicking, I feel good at. Punting still a disaster to me. Like they weren't very good at punting last year, and they brought back the same guys, and they're still bad. So I was hoping they were going to go into the transfer portal for that, but McGuire and McLarty, like they did nothing for me. They had like punts that barely got 40 yards down the field.
Yeah,
that's concerning. That is deeply concerning. And my hope is that they're not my hope is they're not punting very much.
Yeah, look, All right, so for punting, I don't think it's too bad. Maybe they just had an off day. Maybe it was just an off day.
Okay.
I'm willing to give them that mulligan, but no, it didn't look good. Again, special teams has been something that over the last few years that Ryan Day has still yet to fix. It has been a transition. The offense has always been here. He fixed the defense, and now I think he knows what to look for in defense. And now special teams is the next thing to finish. It's just the next thing he doesn't know how to handle, I guess, as a head coach on down.
That's the hope, because those guys, like I said, punting wasn't very good last year, and they didn't really address that. And I didn't like what I saw on Saturday. But again, I'm hoping they don't punt very much during the game. In fact, I'd be fine with no punts. 0 punts this season would be cool with me. That means you're scoring points.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. That's really all I got from the spring game. I know I wasn't able to talk about it Saturday. I know you fired off a bunch of takes, so that's all I got.
No, well, here before we get to the next segment here, get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football. See what our partner winning agency has to say about sponsorship experience with us, and let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships@vocfb.com today.
All right. So I know we wanted to talk a little bit about the depth chart here. I know we've kind of talked about that a little bit here with the spring game, but what do you think was solidified in your mind as far as the depth chart goes from the spring game? Or do you think is still up for grabs?
Okay. I think right tackle's up for grabs, and right guard. I know because
you think both are up for grabs.
Okay. I do. I think coaches want. I think coaches want Sarah Belt on the field. I think they want Sarah Belt on the field, and whether that be Tegra, playing better. Whether I haven't heard much about him. I really haven't seen much news about Tegra at all, and I do believe the coaches want Phillip Daniels on the field, but
I'll say this: when he got transferred in, like a lot of people are like, he's a little bit of a project. Like they're hoping he could start, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being a backup. But I like his physical tools.
And maybe they want Sarah Belt as a guy that just come in throughout the game, and in different situations, probably like in passing situations. But I'm sorry, run, because I don't think Tegra's that good at run blocking. So. No, I think that's up for grabs still. I think that defensive tackle spot, actually edge at D line as a whole edge. I think some of those spots are up there. We haven't seen much of Mickens.
Mickens didn't play on Saturday.
Yeah. No, CJ Hicks, I was very impressed with him. I thought there were a few times that game I was like, oh, he would have got the sack.
When he was with the backups, he had one good play where he would have gotten a sack there, which was nice. I'm hoping he only continues to get better because he's only been, working there for 2 weeks. So let's hope the best is still yet to come from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Defense. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but outside of that, though, those are some of the depth spots where I think that we need help. But I do believe, I think O-line, I'm fine with the depth. I'm actually very comfortable with it. I think Gabe Van Sickle had a good game. I thought Deontay Armstrong had a good game. I'm very comfortable with what I saw in that second team.
Okay. I think as far as jobs that are up for grabs, I still think the running back position is up for grabs. I know people started, but Donaldson is someone who actually has a track record of success at the Power 5 level. So it wouldn't shock me if he ended up being the starter there. But like you, I do think both are going to get a lot of snaps. I don't think it really matters who is the starter necessarily. It's kind of going to be like last year. And I think the offensive line, I think that might be it. I think that might be set as far as the starter go. I know you think the right side might be a little bit up for grabs, but unless Daniels has a really good fall where he starts to develop very quickly, I think that might be the combination we see. And honestly, they were pretty good. So I don't know if I'd have a lot of qualms with that. I do agree with you with the defensive line. They've got some things to figure out up front. And then that safety spot with Malik and Jalen. I think that's really the only true question as far as the starting spots go. Depth wise, I thought a lot of the backups were okay on defense. This was in general, the offense was more geared towards playing well, I thought, in the spring game, which again, they were trying to be really vanilla on defense. Patricia didn't really want to give anything up, so I don't have a problem with that. But I don't really have any other spots where I think there could be a major shakeup. Especially, I don't think they're going to bring someone from the spring transfer portal that's going to really shake things up.
No, me either. But I do believe you had to find somebody on that D line. You had to bring in somebody, and if possible, grab two. Who's gonna if you reach out to 6 guys, I had to believe that you can pick up one of them.
You would think.
Who's gonna say no to play at Ohio State?
There's that big kid from Liberty who just entered the portal today. He was a former top 100 recruit, and he transferred there from Auburn. So I mean, I maybe reach out to him. I don't know, do something, because you're right. I'm not a huge fan of what I've seen from that unit, and quite frankly, that's the only unit that I'm really concerned about at this point. I thought every other unit was fine, but the defensive line.
That's a unit. In the last week of November, that's not a unit you need to be having worries about. That's not what you want to be having worries about. That's not the unit.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Anything else as far as the depth chart goes you want to hit?
I want to say this. I don't think Lincoln's leaving.
Based off of what happened, I'm not sure that he is either. But I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't heard anybody put their name into the portal yet, or going to. I know it hasn't officially opened yet, but it maybe part of that is because they were going to the White House today. Like, they wanted that just to be like the celebration of the national championship, and leave those decisions for tomorrow. But I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't heard even whispers of anyone putting their name in the portal from any position. So
yeah. Like, no, I was like, if I'm Tennessee, I'm calling. I'm trying to get a hold of Lincoln Kino. So I'm Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would.
I mean, a few programs probably should, but that'll be the biggest name I'm watching, obviously, for the spring portal, because I mean that's the biggest name. I mean, none of the other starters or could be starters are even a threat to leave in the portal. A lot of the backups are, at least second string guys, are kind of locked in too. So, that'll be interesting.
There's some talent on this team, man.
There is
a lot of it.
And Ohio State's trying to get some talent here for the future, and that's the third thing we want to hit today. And I want to talk about another recruit also besides Braylon Womack, but we'll go ahead and lock him in first. So he went ahead. For those who don't know, he's a 5-star safety. He's the number 2 safety in this recruiting class. Ohio State already landed the number 1 safety in the class in Blaine Bradford, but Womack is a 5-star safety from the state of Mississippi. He went ahead and set a commitment date for August 23rd, and Ohio State is the only northern school that he is looking at. He's choosing between Auburn, Florida, Texas A&M, and Ohio State. So, he's got 3 SEC schools that he's looking at instead of, or in addition to Ohio State. So, it's going to be interesting to see if they can land him. He would be the 3rd safety that they would have for this class. But as we talked about before, Gladwell would probably move to linebacker just based off of his physique, and they would, have Womack back there. But where do you think the chances are of landing Braylon, who also made a visit this weekend to Ohio State? Like, he was there. So
I think we're landing him. I think we're landing him.
Okay.
I'm very confident. I think that from reading the tea leaves, trying to see the forest from the trees, it looks like he really likes Ohio State. Looks like he has a really good relationship there with Gary Area and Coach Tim Walton. I think like Ohio State, again, the way that recruits talk about their visits, it's a little bit different from. It sounds like it's a little bit different from what they're getting at other institutions. in other
Yeah.
programs. I think that he sees like what Ohio State is doing at in the safety position, in the corner position, in the whole secondary. Listen, Ohio State puts out a lot of DBs. I think that just about every 3 years you see it. I do believe that he enjoys being there, and don't get me wrong. Texas A&M would be a good landing spot. I think Auburn would be a good landing spot. I think Florida would be an awesome landing spot because I think Florida. I think next year and like over the next 2 years, Florida is going to be like in the conversation for a championship.
I think Florida's the biggest hurdle for Ohio State to clear.
Yeah, because I think Florida right now is in a good position right now. So that's the only team that I'm worried about. So
yeah. And before you go ahead and take that down, your who to follow, Michigan football is your top who to follow over there in the corner, next to Rory and KD. So that tells me where your algorithm's at.
Oh.
Yeah, all right. There.
But wait. And before my credit, you see, I don't follow them.
That's true. Yes. But that would have never have popped up on mine. I'll say that. So other than Braylon, another big time recruit actually picked a recruitment date and actually had Ohio State in his top schools. And it's someone both of us have talked about extensively on this podcast. That's Jackson Cantwell. Cantwell actually went ahead and narrowed his school down list to 4 schools. And surprisingly, Missouri wasn't one of them. He's from Nixa, Missouri. And a lot of people thought they were going to be in the mix because of the fact that it'd been reported that he wanted to stay in a smaller city. But the schools he's got on his list are Ohio State.
There was someone else missing too. There was someone else missing too.
Yeah, we'll get there. Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, and Oregon. Those were the 4 schools that he's got left. And he decided to make his commitment date actually here at the end of the month. I should be, right here in a couple of weeks, and he's taking an official visit to Oregon right before then as well. So I believe his commitment date is the 28th. He's taking the visit on the 26th and 27th to Eugene. So that doesn't bode well for Ohio State's chances to land him from Oregon. But at least we know who isn't going to land him, and that is that school up north. They were noticeably absent from his finalist list as well. So that is certainly great. So if Ohio State doesn't land him, at least Michigan's not.
Yeah, it was really funny that not seeing Missouri on there was one thing. I was really surprised with that. And I was surprised when we didn't see Teton up there. But it was very hilarious because of how they see themselves. And noticing, hey, sometimes you get when you want to go with the big boys, you probably shouldn't spend all your money and put all your eggs in one basket.
They spent all their money on Bryce.
Yeah, and now you're kind of in an eco situation, but a quiet one. But
do you still think they have a chance to land him?
Huh?
Do you think Ohio State still has a chance to land Jackson?
I thought not. All right, Missouri and Michigan not being there gives me more hope. I think trying to beat out Oregon and Miami, this is gonna be really hard.
Yeah,
I do think we're ahead of Georgia, but I think beating Oregon, especially Oregon, is gonna be really.
I think Oregon's gonna be the biggest problem. I agree.
Yeah, and I saw someone earlier they're asking why is Miami up there for Miami being up there for money? I'm like, dude. You can't forget, Mario Cristobal is known for building offensive linemen. That's his name to claim to fame. So, yeah, exactly. So that's why Miami is in this race. It's not just Jackson Cantwell is not one of those guys that has to worry about NIL being the deciding factor of where he goes.
No. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He knows that money's coming. So it's just where he wants to get developed. And I'll tell you what, if Tyler Bowen lands him, whoo. Man.
Yeah. Oh man, give him a raise.
Great start to his first year as the offensive line coach. Yeah, give him a raise already. You're right. So it'd be interesting to see where both of those guys end up in the recruitment. So next thing we want to hit is Russ Bjork has heard the voice of Buckeye fans, and he's trying to make them a little happier when it comes to kickoff times. A lot of Buckeye fans were bitching and moaning last year about all the big noon kickoffs. I know you were one of them. And look, Fox obviously has made that their staple time, so they want to have their premier program play as many games as possible at noon. Bjork has started talking to Big Ten to the Big Ten about, and really Fox in general, to try to get them some more night games. So we'll see if Texas ends up being a night game. That doesn't seem likely. That still seems like it's going to be a noon game. But I'll give Bjork some credit for at least trying to talk to the networks and trying to change something. I don't know how much good it's going to do. I think that would kind of need to be a conference-wide discussion. But I applaud him for giving it a try. What do you think?
I'm happy he's trying to. I mean, he talked about that Texas game. He said he's working hard to make sure that's a night game. I think that's a bit like what that Texas game could be, man, for Ohio State. That's a recruit game. Like
it's going to be already.
Every recruit that's like there's gonna be a lot of 5-star guys in on those sidelines.
Yeah,
if not almost all of them. So a night game experience is what you want. Again, like, and then people ask, what's night games got to do with recruiting? Trust me, it correlates. Night games, kids like that stuff. That's the big stage. That's what you want to be on. So, like, in my perfect world, that Texas game is on CBS at night. Oh, that would be beautiful for me. But I'm happy about it. I think Ross Bjork he's an awesome AD. I really do. Once he gets some renovations on the stadium, I'll give him more credit. But I mean,
he needs to fix the basketball
program. You know what? I was going to ask you about, because he tweeted about that. He making it known that basketball is not like is in the forefront of his mind.
That's not an afterthought. He's basically saying that the basketball program's got higher expectations for what they've been doing now, and like they're going to spend money on that program as well. And perhaps that's part of the reason why the women's team lost their best player to the transfer portal. Cody McMahon went ahead and said hasta la vista for her final year, and perhaps it's because the NIL money's kind of shifting hands. But I don't know. I like I said, I'll give Bjork some credit for going ahead and trying to talk to Fox and NBC, CBS, all of the Big Ten network partners to try to change something. But Fox is going to do what they want, quite frankly. Like Ohio State gets some views, and that's probably what they're going to do. Yeah. As far as this comment goes, I would love to see. Ojo seemed like he wanted to, like, he was really excited for his visit this weekend. I was hoping he was going to go ahead and commit. That's something that actually didn't happen this year that I thought was going to. Ohio State didn't get any commits after the spring game.
Yeah, that was surprising.
3.
I thought we might whether it be a 3 or 4 star. I don't care what it was.
I thought we were going to
get something coming out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It was interesting that didn't happen. So again, really one of the last things we wanted to hit was, you mentioned it to start the show, with the Buckeyes on the CBS's top 150 players. I know you've got that list. Why don't you go ahead and share it with the people?
Yeah, so we got 6 Buckeyes. We got number 1, Jeremiah Smith. Of course,
Shocker.
Who else?
Shocker.
Who else would it be? Would it be? Next on the list is Caleb Downs. He's at number 7, which I was surprised by. There was a lot of quarterbacks between there.
It's a little low for me.
Yeah, I have him at number 2, but maybe I'm just being biased. Listen,
to me, he's certainly top 5.
Yeah, I'm being honest when I say that. So, but he was the number 1 safety, of course, on there. A little surprising. Number 27 was Sonny Styles as the number 4 linebacker, and I think it's because a lot of people were like in his second year in this position and how he came on later in the season. I think they're expecting him to be just an athletic freak out there running around.
Yeah, that was a little higher than I expected to see him there because. For most of the season, he kind of looked a little bit out of place, but he was learning a new position as well. So, like, I think you're right. I think after playing there for a whole year, I think he's going to be better this year.
Then at number 32, we got Max Clayer, the number 1 tight end in the nation. They have him at. which I look. I'm gonna be
I don't think you're more excited. I think you're more excited for Max Clare than any other player on this team.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I am. Well, but was it last week that I say to you? Did I say to you last week that I think he's gonna be third in receiving yards on the team?
Yes, you did
I
mention
did say
that.
that to you.
You might. I think you did on Thursday.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's gonna be. I really believe that. I think that, dude. I don't think there's been a time in my life where Ohio State has had a tight end that might be the best in the nation.
Yeah. No, there definitely hasn't.
And so, and mind you, I mean, I think Sadiq over at Oregon, I think he's gonna be one of the best tight ends in the nation. I think some of the best tight ends in the nation are gonna be in the Big Ten this year. But
Which normally that's the case, but they all play at Iowa.
yeah, I think Julian Sand is gonna. This is a hot take of mine. I think he's throwing 40 passing touchdowns this season. I really do. I think there's just too much. I think there's too much. He's spoiled. I don't think CJ had this.
Well, he didn't have the weapons. Well, okay, he had the wide receiver weapons. He didn't have the tight end.
Tight end.
This year, I mean, he certainly didn't have a wide receiver as good as Jeremiah Smith. Like Jeremiah Smith, I think he's got a chance to be like one of these all time players.
He's bigger, dude.
Yeah. By the way, you see that tweet with that Tyvis Powell had, and Tyvis Powell's like, "Yeah, I'm 6'3", and it looked like Jeremiah was 6'5" standing next to him.
He's not. Yeah, he's 6'5". Dude, he's 6'5". He has to be. He's big. He's different, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone thought Joel Klatt was joking when he said he's been playing college football for 3 years, and then by his fourth year he'll be the best wide receiver in the NFL. He probably he's different, man. He's just different.
Yeah.
He's Julio Jones.
I think he's better than Julio Jones.
He might. Yeah, he might be.
But yeah, go ahead.
And then,
go through the list.
Yeah, but then we got Cardinal Tate at 51. He was the number 6. Yeah, Tate was the number 6 wide receiver, which I thought. I think that's pretty. That's where I would have him.
I was a little surprised to see him that high, but sure.
I'm not. I think Cardinal Tate has been one of those guys who's been underrated because who he's been playing with. You know, and
True.
Same thing with Brandon. Brandon Ennis will start anywhere else. You know, it's guys are waiting their turn, and I love it. Yeah. Then at 117, Phillip Daniels as the number 13 offensive tackle, who
is currently not in their starting lineup. just to go ahead and reinforce that point.
Yeah, that's like I was really surprised when I saw that. I thought Carson Hinsman or Luke Montgomery would make that list.
Hinsman, I think, is criminally underrated. I think just in general, like I thought there was under no circumstances should he not have been on the starting offensive line to start last year. I thought that was ridiculous. And he showed late in the year why. Like, I mean, he played really well when he was at guard, and then when they had to shift him to center, he was good there. I understand that they wanted to keep him as a true center, and Seth obviously was going to be the starter. But when you saw the offensive line issues that they had, like early in the year, like this didn't just pop up in the Oregon game. Like this is something that they had all year long. They had some concerns, and they didn't throw Hinsman out there. That was one of the things that pissed me off about Fry. But I'm hoping Tyler Bowen, is a little bit better on that front. But you think that's the appropriate amount of Buckeyes in the top 150 from them?
No.
Okay.
No.
How many do you think they should have? I think it's an appropriate number, but maybe swap out Daniels for either Hinsman, or if you're going to do a transfer tackle, put Ethan out there. I thought Ethan was outstanding on Saturday.
I think Igman should have still been in there.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good one. I agree with that.
I think everyone wants to point to the amount. I think he had like 14 penalties last season. Like on the grand scheme of things, is that like does it look bad yet? But the grand scheme of things, he's played how many reps, how many downs,
Yeah.
and there's 14 that you can pull out and say they're very bad. Dude, I saw him make probably one of the most ridiculous interceptions I've ever seen.
Penn State game.
Like he outside of those plays, he's a shutdown corner. I mean, after the Oregon game, throughout the regular season, they didn't give up a passing touchdown. This team gave up under 140 pass yards a game. So he's part of that. So I don't know. I think he should have been in there. I wish he got more. I wish he got more tick because I know Jermaine Matthews is one of the top 100 players in the college football. I know he is, but he doesn't deserve to be on the list right now.
Correct. Like I also think he's going to be very good, but to your point, he just simply hasn't played enough to be on the list.
I think he's going to be a ball hawk.
Yeah. I agree, and I think he's going to be, like I said, really good. So is there anything else that you wanted to cover here before we go? Because I've got something
No, what you got?
So I want to talk just briefly about a couple of things. The first, we kind of already touched on with the spring transfer portal. How many guys do you expect Ohio State to lose in the portal, if any?
Of importance?
No, just in general, because of importance, I think it's 0. Unless Lincoln leaves. I think that would be kind of important.
5 tops. 5 to 7. 5 to 7.
I would say it might even be less than that. I'd say 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I think because they're Ryan Day only has so many scholarships.
Yeah.
He needs to bring a defensive. He needs to bring a defensive tackle. He said after the game. He talked about it already.
He did. Well, that's why I think it could be 3 or 4. Be like, he tells some guys, "Hey, I think you should go find somewhere else to play, so he can open up roster spots to get defensive linemen in."
Bro, Ohio State's a little bit different now, man. It's ran a little bit different now, buddy.
Yeah. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, did you know that the spring game was the least attended game since 2005 as far as the spring game goes, minus the COVID season? I thought that was interesting.
Really?
It was just over 40,000 fans. And the average since 2005 has been 65,000. So what do you equate that to? Like, why do you think there weren't as many fans out there? Because the weather ended up being great. Like, there was not a cloud in the sky. Like, I mean, it was a little chilly, but it was, still in the 50s. It wasn't like it was 30. Do you think it's just some apathy from, after winning the national championship, just not quite as invested in this team, or what?
Yeah, I think fans are going to see it first, and I think Ohio State fans have watched enough Ohio State football to know that the spring game isn't going to teach them much.
Yeah,
I think we have a pretty football savvy fan base, and I think they're like. I remember when Justin Fields first came in, right? I thought as a fan base we were a little quiet before that season because Ryan Day was there and he was new, but we didn't know what it was going to look like, and so and actually when after the spring game everyone was really upset because Justin Fields looked like crap. So I think that's just what it is. Everyone's just waiting to see the real product in the field. What do you think?
Yeah, my assumption is week 1 when Texas comes into town, it's going to be filled to the brim. So I'm not particularly worried about it.
Oh my gosh, what are those tickets going for right now?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
I'm scared to look. I just
yeah. The very last thing that I wanted to cover before we went is, and I don't know if you saw this. Did you happen to see a former Buckeye seems to be regretting transferring away?
Oh man,
talk about the portal.
Bohr.
Mr. Amario Bohr. He seems to miss Columbus. For those who don't know, he went ahead and posted a TikTok basically cursing out whoever decided to give him the advice to transfer to SMU in pursuit of a higher NIL payment, because it seems like that is a decision he has come to regret. And it's not like he played a whole lot for SMU last year. Like, he had the same amount of tackles he did for the Mustangs last year as he did for Ohio State in his freshman year. So that just goes to show you, in today's NIL transfer portal, the grass is not always greener on the other side. So,
and I thought he could have been. I liked him coming out of high school. I thought that he was going to be a player for us.
He could have been in the mix this year with how much defensive line play they lost.
He would have been. And so, look, man, the grass.
You think
maybe greener. It really isn't.
You think maybe he calls up Ryan Day, be like, "Hey, I saw what happened in the spring game. You need some more defensive line help. Can I come back?"
Ryan Day would be dumb not to take him back.
Yeah.
He's a smaller. He's kind of like a Mike Hall type of defensive tackle, but I think you take him.
I don't know. I mean, if he couldn't get on the field for SMU last year, you really want to bring him back?
Are you fond of Moore, of Jason Moore now?
No, not particularly. I wasn't coming into the spring.
Yeah, man. I'm now. I see why they moved Edric to defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Because I wish we had someone there, because if we had Edric on the edge, oh man.
Yeah. And also, this is a good point here from Rich before we get out here on the spring game. They did wait a little bit longer to fully announce that it was going to be a spring game. That's probably a big reason for that lower attendance as well. That's a good point.
Yeah. And I think they did good on that by making it free, knowing that they did that. So
Yep. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I do not.
All righty.
I'm pretty sure. Give me a second here, because sometimes I write too much. I type too much down. I want to ask you things.
Well, if you've got anything that comes up, you can talk to me. We can talk about it on Thursday. Yeah.
Oh yeah. One more guy to shout out. One more player to shout out. Fahim Delane.
That was a good pick.
It was good to see you make a play, boy. It was good to see you make a play. I've been waiting to see some good tape on you. Yeah,
that was nice. But yeah, we will be back on Thursday at 8:00 for the call-in show. So bring your comments. We want to hear about what you guys thought about the spring game, and we'll have some transfer portal news by then, more than likely. So we'll see who's sticking with Ohio State and who's not, and who they might bring in for some help as well. Until then, we'll see you guys Thursday. OH.
IO.